Please welcome the main speaker for tonight, Jill S.
Yay!
Hi, my name is Jill, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Jill.
First of all, I want to thank Sonia for asking me to share my story here today, and I want to thank all you guys for coming out. Now, I'm going to start this meeting in a way that you've never had an AA meeting started before. I'm going to sing you a little song because I'm a PE teacher, and it's all about movement. I'm going to sing you a song, and whenever I sing a word that starts with the letter B, if you're sitting, please stand. If you're standing, please sit. And some of you guys may know this song, so feel free to sing along with me, okay? Everybody understand? If you understand, give me a thumbs up. Okay, if you have issues standing or sitting, just put your hands up and down so you're participating. We don't want to leave anybody out. So, here we go. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. My Bonnie lies over the sea. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. So bring back my Bonnie to me. Bring back, bring back, bring back my Bonnie to me. Bring back, bring back, bring back my Bonnie to me. Good job. Give yourself a round of applause. I'm also checking the willingness of people in this room, and remember, this is a program of action, not thinking. And most importantly, I've learned in these rooms to do the right thing, even when I don't feel like it. I've learned that in these rooms. So anyway, I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, September 29th, 1966. The very first thing my father said to my mother when I was born was, "You got your girl, but she's a cripple." I was born with a clubfoot. And it made my mother cry. And I believe from the very first time I took my first breath, I felt like there was something wrong with me. I have 4 brothers. One was adopted, but I grew up with 4 brothers, and it was always, "Go home, you're a girl, we don't want you." And I never really felt like I belonged in my own family. In 4th grade, I was called Fatty Four Eyes and the Goodyear Blimp because I wore the husky clothes, not the slim, not the regular, the husky. So it was always, "There's Jill, the Goodyear blimp." And the crazy thing was, the other day in La Jolla, I was walking on the beach, and I see a blimp, and it was Shark Week. I'm like, good, I've gone from a whale to a shark. Anyway, that's progress, you know, I'm embracing it today. And I remember my 4th grade, I got in a fight with my best friend over a stupid softball game, and for the last 4 months of 4th grade, I didn't have a single friend other than my teacher. And I'd have notes on my desk, "Fatty, fatty, 2x4, can't get through the bathroom door," and nobody talked to me. I would come home and cry to my animals because we lived on an 87-acre farm after moving out of Cleveland to a place called Pemberville, where we had horses, cows, sheep, dog, chickens, everything. And animals became my safe haven. And I love that there's a dog in this meeting tonight. And it's interesting because at the age of 7, I was sexually abused by a friend of my older brother because I thought I could be a part of and hang out with them because I would fit in. And I knew it was wrong. I told my mom and dad. Actually, I told my mom. I was not about ready to tell my dad because I knew what he would do. So I told my mom. All 4 of my brothers were listening in. And my mom instantly started crying. I sucked up my tears and I started comforting my mom, saying, "I'm okay, I'm okay." And I made a decision at the age of 7. I will never share anything ever again with my mom that may hurt her feelings. And it was then that I became the adult. After the blizzard of 78, my family said, "That's it, we're leaving Ohio, going down to Florida." We leave this 87-acre farm, go down to Florida, where there were alligators in my backyard. And I was such a tomboy. I'm still a tomboy, but I was such a tomboy. I'd say, "Hi, my name is Jill. I'm a girl, not a boy." Because they would go, "Joe? Jill, you know, are you good?" Finally, I just got it all right there in the introduction. My father was a football coach. And I went to watch him coach, and I went, I could play with these guys. So I was the first girl in the state of Florida to play Pop Warner football with the helmet and the shoulder pads, and I got the nickname JJ for Jill the Jock, because my dad didn't want them to know a girl was on the other side. So once again, I never felt like I belonged in my home. Now with the football team, they all dress in the boys' locker room, and I have to go change in the girls' bathroom. So once again, I'm creating this pattern of not belonging. And it was instilled in me at a very young age. And it's interesting because I think back to holidays, how sometimes we behave in a way of not necessarily what people think of us, but what we think people think of us. And see, I grew up with the idea, because of one of the holidays, my aunt, my father's sister, said, oh, you know your father never wanted a girl. And because I was young, I embraced that as my truth. That same aunt said, go ahead, eat all you want. You're going to be fat just like the rest of us Shanks. And I went, and I embraced that, and I made a decision going, I will die before I become fat, because I was called Fatty Four Eyes as a kid. And so in high school, I became anorexic first, then I became bulimic. And I would actually throw up to 8 times a day. And it's a miracle that I'm even here before you. From the age of 15 to 24, I was on a suicide pact. I would drink. I had my first drink when I was 15. And I was a sophomore in high school. And because I played all varsity sports, I got 14 varsity letters, went to college on 5 different athletic scholarships, drank them all away. So here I am hanging out with friends, and I'm thinking, how could this liquid affect my brain? Needless to say, I'm drinking 7 and 7 and just a secret. To this day, if I smell that, whoo, I get so sick just from the scent of it. But I came to the next morning, I said, who threw up on my bed? How'd I get these clothes on? And if a friend stopped by, well, you were so full of throw up, we had to change your clothes. Oh, you fell in the pool 6 times. And yes, your friend stopped by. And I swore I would never drink again. 6 months later, I was introduced to beer. When I drank beer, I knew a new freedom and a new happiness. I did not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. And I got taller, my boobs got bigger, my moves got better, and I had it going on. It did something inside of me, and it just made me numb. It made me not feel. And I'm so grateful that I had alcohol in my life from the time that I did, because if I didn't have alcohol to numb my pain of just self-hatred, I don't know where I would have been today. But in 1983, I went to my very first AA meeting. I walked. It was Indian Rocks Beach, Florida. I looked around the room, and I said, I am too young to be an alcoholic, because everybody had gray hair in there. It is Florida, and everybody retires in Florida. So anyway, but the seed of Alcoholics Anonymous was planted. And just like a seed, it needs to go into the ground to a dark, cold place and be broken. And then the rain or the tears need to go on it. But here's the problem I had. I'd put it in the ground, I'd dig it, and are you growing yet? Are you growing yet? Are you growing yet? You know? But it was planted. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do some controlled drinking. You know how that is. And for those of you who've been introduced to AA, you know that after the first meeting, we never get a drink and really enjoy it thoroughly, because we have the people in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous saying, you know, you don't have to do that again. And I swore I'm not an alcoholic, I just have low self-esteem. And so I went away to a small Christian college in North Carolina, Billy Graham's hometown. I went there, it was called Montreat Anderson back then, volleyball, basketball, and softball scholarship, because I couldn't decide what sport I liked the best, so I wanted to play all of them. And needless to say, drunk, I got in trouble, because it's kind of obvious when you have 4 grown men carrying you into the girls' dorm because you're so wasted that it's not okay, and it's not a good example at this Christian college. So I'm sorry, young lady, we're taking away your volleyball, basketball, and softball scholarship. Well, that's what I live for. I'm an athlete. Sports was my life. You take away my sports, what am I going to do? I'm going to go more into my eating disorder and my drinking. And I was in the cutting, I was in the burning myself. I hated myself so much because of the false belief that I felt my father didn't want me. And I tried so hard to get his approval. And it's interesting because, at University of Tampa, we were away in a game, and what happened was we were in New Orleans, and I was introduced to AA, and I was trying not to drink. And they're like, "You're in New Orleans, you got to try hurricanes." I went, I really don't think it's a good idea, but you know what? I'm in New Orleans. We won the tournament, but I didn't get a play. So we were on the 8th floor of a hotel building, and I looked down and see, I don't know about you, but when I got drunk, I used to like to think and walk and just pour Jill another drink, I used to get the woe is me. So I'm looking down and I go, oh my gosh, there's a balcony below there, a balcony below there, and I had cowboy boots on like I do today, and I hung, swang, and boom, went down the next floor, down, and the coach was yelling at me, "You better stop." And I went, what am I supposed to do? Go knock on somebody's door and say I fell for 4 floors up? So I went all the way down so I could walk. And you know what? Due to my behavior under the influence of alcohol at University of Tampa, they took away my volleyball and basketball scholarship there too. So I was like, how dare they? And so I was so bummed out that actually in 1985, leaving, I got a failed trigonometry test, and I was a perfectionist, And I was just doing so much, getting up, going to school from 8 to 3, volleyball practice from 3 to 5, working from 6 to midnight to pay for school, and then I'd study from midnight to 3. I was just overwhelmed. So I decided I needed a drink because I was dry periodically. And I went and got a drink. Next thing I know, I got a drink at 8:30 in the morning. Don't ask me how I got that. But I come to at 8 p.m. in the evening. Apparently I was going 80 and a 40. I hit the back end of a semi, flew over 3 lanes, flew out a car hit a tree, caught on fire. I landed flat smack on my back. And I could hear the people going, "Is she dead? Did she go?" I get up, I start walking away. They go, "Hey lady, where you going?" I said, "I need to go sleep off my buzz before volleyball practice, And the police officer goes, "Excuse me, young lady, you're either going to jail or the hospital." And I went, "Where's the ambulance?" And then I went to, but that didn't stop me from drinking either. I was drinking and riding my bike drunk and running into parked cars. I was on this mission. I hated myself so much. And in 1991, my father said, "Why don't you go try out for this game show?" And I went, "What's it called?" He said, "American Gladiators." And I went, "What's American Gladiators?" Because I was, I just stayed busy doing stuff. Because if you stay busy and you become a workaholic and an alcoholic, you don't ever have to slow down to feel your feelings. And so I go, okay, so I'm standing in line at Tampa Convention Center or whatever. There's over 3,000 people trying out. And as soon as people are walking in, they are leaving. I'm like, oh my gosh, why are they going home so soon? Well, the first event was pull-ups. And women had to do 8 pull-ups in 30 seconds, and men had to do 22 pull-ups in 30 seconds. And then the next one was a sprint, and the next one was a rope climb that you had to climb 2 stories, and then it was a shuttle run, and then you had to go one-on-one against somebody who got as far as you did. Well, here's what nobody knows. This is why I love Alcoholics Anonymous, and this is why I wear this little symbol around my neck. I had just binged and purged the night before, so my energy was low. And I tried to climb the rope, and I was always about 6 inches too short. And I'm going down there and having that positive talk that we do to yourself when you screw up. Like, oh my gosh, I'm such a loser. I suck. I'm no good. I'll never be anything. That great self-talk that we have. And so this guy comes up to me, and he goes, "Are you a friend of Bill's?" And that's, for those of you who aren't familiar with AA, that's an anonymous way of saying, "Are you an Alcoholics Anonymous?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "I've been watching you do that rope climb, and I see how close you are every single time. I'm going to pass you through this event, but you have to pass the next ones on your own." See, that's how Alcoholics Anonymous saved my life. So I went through the whole thing. That was in January. In May, I'm actually substitute teaching, and I have the lunch shift at Red Lobster. And I'm working the lunch shift, and I get a phone call at work, and I went, "This is weird. Nobody ever calls me at work." And it's like, hello? Is this Jill Shank? Yes, it is. He goes, this is Larry Zonka from American Gladiators. Pack your bags. We're flying you to California. I'm like, oh, I'm going to California. I'm going to California. Because anybody who lives on the East Coast, like Ohio and Florida, we all think that California is going to have an earthquake and fall into the ocean. Okay, that's what everybody believes back there. So I knew when I was getting on that plane that I was going to come out here and get clean and sober for the last time, or I was going to end my life and go back in a body bag. See, that was all or nothing, black or white, you know. And by the grace of God, I'm still here today. And when I came out here, see, now, if I had to do it over again, I would have done it differently, because I went to meetings before the show was filmed, and I gave people tickets. And I said, oh, but if you can't make it, that's okay. When I really should have said, I need you there to support me. Because what happened was I ended up losing by 4 seconds in the eliminator to the girl who won the finals. And I went to the place, Jerry's Deli, where they all used to hang out after AA meetings up there. And I didn't see anybody I knew. So I decided to get one drink. And then a 12-pack. And then I binged and purged. And then some bad things happened to me at other gladiator contestants. I didn't realize how strong some men can be. And so when people go, how was your experience on American Gladiators? I'm like, you really don't want to know. But it was an all-expense paid trip to California, and I never went home to live. In fact, my mother was so mad at my father for telling me to do that. And I realized my father saved my life by telling me to go out there and try out for that team, because I needed to get away from my family to figure out who I am and what I believe. And I don't know about you guys, but growing up in the home I did, every Sunday, like clockwork, we went to Catholic Mass. Every time. We would argue and fight the whole way there. As soon as we saw another person, hey, how's it going? Praise the Lord. Yeah, good. It was like we were nice to each other in public. Behind the scenes, there was so much verbal abuse, not necessarily physical, but verbal abuse. The only emotion I saw growing up was anger. And I realized that anger was just how I did everything. In fact, in one of the treatment centers, detox centers I went to, I had to be held down by 4 different men. I was so full of rage. And then they had to put me in a straitjacket. That's all the craziness of where the disease of alcoholism took me. See, and that's what happened to me. But today, by the grace of God and the fellowship of the program and working these 12 steps, see, Alcoholics Anonymous, yes, it's a non-drinking program. But when I do this, it's a life-changing program. I have to do this. For many years, I would just go to meetings. Hey, and I don't know, people would all go drink tons of coffee and smoke tons of cigarettes after meetings. Hey, you know, and all the drama that happened when I was drinking, which really sucks, is every mistake I made out there drinking, I have made in sobriety. And really, it's terrible when I have to say, yes, I did that. But you know what? I learned from my mistakes. And I have probably relapsed 3,000 times in Alcoholics Anonymous. But I've gotten sober 3,001 times. And that's all that matters. You know, it doesn't matter how many times you fall down, get back up again. Come back in the rooms, take a white token. We used to give these white poker chips for newcomers in Florida. I had enough to pave this whole thing in here, you know, just put a whole bunch of, eventually I just started giving them back to the clubs going, I think I have a sobriety date that's gonna last. I had to go back and read in my journal what my current sobriety date is, and my current sobriety date is February 5th, 1994. So that means I just celebrated 28 years in February. It's a God thing. So anyway, I come out to California. Growing up, my father said, you don't want to be a teacher. There's no money in teaching. Came out to California, got my teaching credential. Taught at Our Lady of Malibu, taught a lot of movie stars, kids. I was so starstruck being, especially from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm talking about Pat Benatar, Mel Gibson, Nick Nolte. It's kind of cool that I'm friends with some of their kids on Facebook too. He's like, hey, you know. But you know what? All of that, it's just we are all, I love Alcoholics Anonymous because we're all even. Doesn't matter if you're the CEO or the janitor. We're all needed. everybody in here is just as important as anybody else. And see, what I've learned in the program is I have gone, because you guys told me when I first got here, let us love you until you learn to love yourself. And keep coming back, preferably sober, but keep coming back. Because I would drink in the parking lot and come in the meetings and think that I just can't get this. I was the one who just was there she is again, drunk. I remember, I'm so grateful they did not have cell phones back in the day. Lord only knows what I would have tweeted or Facebooked or text or, But I do remember sitting one time in a bar and having a six-pack or a drink in front of me, and I asked the bartender if he can get the phone. The back in the day, the phone was and I called my sponsor, and she pulled my butt out of the bar. It's like growing up on the farm, the only time I got attention was when I got hurt. Because mom was so busy doing laundry and cooking and cleaning. So I associated hurting myself with love. And in a warped way, my thinking was, if my brothers and my dad and everybody was arguing and yelling, if I tried to hurt myself, they would stop yelling at each other and focus their attention on me. So in a very warped way, it was my way of keeping peace in the family. So anyway, I come out here to be on American Gladiators in 1991. In 1997, I played women's professional baseball for the San Jose Spitfire. Yes, they have like a league of their own, believe it or not. And I remember playing, me and the coach did not get along well at all. And I'm sober, and I'm going to meetings, and he broke my spirit as an athlete. Because we had gone to the World Series, and he said, "You're not going." And I went, all because at one practice, he was having us do a somersault before catching the ball on a new field. And I said, "Coach, let us get used to this field first, and then let's add the somersault." So my roommate does a somersault, goes to catch the baseball, misjudges it, hits her teeth right here, and she breaks her bone right here. So I am now having to take, and I just looked at him. You know that look when you know you're right to a coach, and he just I just looked at him, I said, "See?" And he's like, "Well, you're not suiting up for any more games." Whatever. So what happened was I had to go get smoothies for my roommate. So here I am up in San Jose, and my heart is broken, and my spirit is broken as an athlete. And I'm walking going, I don't want to live anymore. I'm sober, but I'm depressed and suicidal. And so I'm like, do I really even make a difference here? So I'm walking to get this smoothie, and I hear behind me, Coach Shank. Okay, I've never taught in San Jose. I turn around. It was a young lady that I taught from kindergarten to third grade at Our Lady of Malibu. And her mom came up to me and said, "I want to thank you for impacting my daughter's life," because she said whenever anybody comes up to her and says she can't do something, she stands up really tall and goes, "Yes, I can. Coach Shank said I could do anything I put my mind to." And she gave me a hug and said, "Thank you for impacting my daughter's life." And that came at a very, very down point in my life. And I just went, okay, God, I don't know why I'm here, but you know what? I'm going to keep on putting one foot in front of the other, keep breathing, keep going to meetings. The Cliff Notes of Alcoholics Anonymous. Don't drink, go to meetings, get a sponsor, work the steps, call 3 alcoholics every day. Not text, call. You need to hear the person's voice. And pick up the phone when somebody calls you, and please, please, please put a personalized voice message on it. Don't just say, "You've reached 61923. How do I know it's the right person? Please make it personal. So when they'll at least hear your voice and lift their spirits up. So anyway, in 1997, I played for the San Jose Spitfire. In 2000, I played women's professional football for the San Diego Sunfire. So I guess I'm a fireball. I don't know. I'm so grateful that I got sober before they invented fireballs. Anyway, do you know that the new thing before people go out, they actually have a thing called pre-gaming? I thought it was where you warm up before a basketball or something like that. No, they have this thing that they go drink before they go out to party. I went, oh my gosh. In fact, the other day last Sunday, I was riding a bike with a friend, and I said, "Oh, what kind of music you like?" She goes, I go, well, what are the top 2 radio stations that you listen to? And she looked at me, she goes, radio's for old people. And I went, oh my gosh. I remember when I was a newcomer in these rooms and I was one of the youngsters and it just went, oh. She goes, young people do Spotify. I went, whatever, excuse me. But I'm so grateful that, like I said, cell phones did not exist back in the day. And so anyway, I ended up getting my master's and I became a teacher. And I moved to San Diego for a job and a relationship. And both of them fell through when I moved here. So once again, my heart was just broken and devastated. And I didn't want to live. I really didn't want to live. And I just went, okay, God, you're in control. I don't get it. So what's it say in the big book when we're having problems in our life? Go out and help another alcoholic. Help somebody else. I have realized that whenever I have a problem in my life, if I put my problem on the back burner and go help somebody else solve their problem, when I go back to deal with my problem, God worked out my problem. It's amazing how that works. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's kind of like that I need to give this thing away in order to keep it, right? I need to give this gift of sobriety, and it's a gift. It's a gift. And as a gift, you need to receive it. I need to receive it. I need to feel like I deserve it. You all deserve it. We all deserve it. In fact, you know, the most important word of this fellowship is the first word of the first step. We. Not I. We. We can do what I cannot do alone. Okay? If you would ask me to come speak here and I was the only one here, I was like, I'm going home. See you later. Because I have news for you. 9 o'clock's my bedtime, so I hope I don't fall asleep up here because it's crazy because a long time ago, I didn't go out till after 10 p.m. I mean, when people went out at 9 o'clock, I went, that's so early. And now that I'm 55 years old, when people ask me to do things, I'm thinking, I need to be home by 7 so I can wind down and go to bed at 9. Because that's just where I'm at in my life today. And most people know that if they want me to show up at their party, it needs to be daylight, okay? Because I don't like driving at night anymore. I have young people drive me around, you know, but I don't like driving at night anymore. And it's interesting because I'm a high school PE teacher, as you guys did the up, down. Some of you guys, I want to say majority. I say 80% of you guys were doing it. Other people are like, I came to an AA meeting not to stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. So I tell my students, and just like people in the program, it's about the morning and nightly news. AM news, PM news. Because we're spiritual beings having a physical experience, okay? This is a spiritual program. Religion is man-made. Spirituality is God-given. Religion causes the world to have wars. Spirituality causes the world to hold hands. So I am a spiritual being having a physical experience. That means I need to take care of my physical body. And you hear in the rooms, halt, don't get too hungry, angry, lonely, tired. I like to even bring it a little bit more in depth. AM news, PM. AM, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, or for those who are not in recovery, an ambitious mindset. Okay? News, nutrition. I find that most alcoholics are hypoglycemic. We need to eat like every 3 hours. I don't know about you guys, but when I was partying, if I knew I was going to go out on a Friday night, I would not eat all day because I wanted to feel the effects of the alcohol. So nutrition, and most people back in the day, they used to have tables like that and they would have little Snickers bars and candy bars on it. So when somebody was really craving a drink, they'd give them a little candy and it took away the urge to drink because they were just hungry. E, exercise. Best thing you can do is walk. W, water. Making sure you're drinking half your body weight in ounces a day in water. S, sleep. I don't know about you guys, but I need like at least 8 hours, sometimes 9, you know. I like when I could sleep all the way through. And the PM is prayer and meditation. I need to pray to a higher power, a God of my own understanding. GOD, group of drunks. Good old dad. Great outdoors. Gift of desperation. Gratitude or death. Grace over drama. Or if none of those work for you, dog backwards. And we have a dog right there because a dog gives us unconditional love. And ultimately, what is God? God is love. And if you are still here, breathing, and your heart is beating, that means God has plans for you. Big book. Believing in God beats our old knowledge. Big book. That's what it stands for. I like all these little acronyms. I'm weird when it comes to that. I'm always thinking about, oh, this is great. I like this. Yeah. And the whole program is about change. I need to change everything. Change who I hang out with. Change my thinking. And here's really something really, really important. My first thought is usually negative and destructive. That is my alcoholic thought, or what evil thought, whatever you want to call it. My first thought is always just, someone cuts me off on traffic, I want to give them a one-finger salute. But I won't, because they might have gotten a call from their hospital and their wife is in labor. So I'm going to let them in. See, nobody pulls in front of me anymore. I let them in. I let them in. Peace is priceless. Inner peace. See, when I came here, I came with my worst enemy and someone I hated when I looked in the mirror. Through working the steps, I now see my best friend and the solution. I see the problem and the solution all in the mirror. It's all in my head. Thoughts turn into words. Words turn into actions. Actions turn into habits. Habits determine your character. And your character ultimately decides your destiny. So it all goes back to my thinking. So if you don't like the life you have right now, ask yourself, what am I thinking about? Because it all starts right here. And let me tell you something. Anybody who's successful in any area of their life, that's why we have sponsors, because they have sobriety, what we want. They say, find somebody that has what you want. That means like the inner stuff. I mean, it's nice that they have the house and the car and but it's more of the internal stuff. That stuff will come, but I'm realizing the more you have, the more insurance, the more things you have to pay. It's like, oh my gosh, more responsibilities. This grown-up stuff. I couldn't wait to be a kid. It doesn't make any sense when we're little. Our parents are like, oh, I can't wait till you can walk and talk. And as soon as we learn how to walk and talk, they tell us to sit down and shut up. What's up with that? It's like, shh, shh. Hey, children shall be seen and not heard. No wonder we're so confused when we come to these rooms. And back to change. What is change? This is the only thing that I could say that's actually something I created, an acronym. Constantly having adjustments, needing God or gratitude every day. It's all about being grateful. If I'm having a hard day, what I need to do is replay a past victory. I learned something when I was in my mid-30s at a personal growth workshop that I'd never heard before. The subconscious brain does not understand negatives. It only understands things as positive. So what do I mean by that? That made sense to me when so many years I'd say, I don't want to drink, I don't want to drink, I don't want to drink. And what would I end up doing? Drinking. Because I was focusing on it so much. So instead, I choose to be sober. I make healthy choices for myself today. Okay, because whatever I think about, I'm going to create in my life. So if there's a fear in your life and you keep on thinking, oh, I'm afraid this is going to happen, guess what? I have news for you. It's going to happen because you're thinking about this so much. So here's what you do. You stop that thought and you go, okay, if this is what I'm afraid of happening, what do I want to happen? What would be great to happen? And start thinking of that and acting as if it's already happening. I'm sure you guys have all heard the acronym for fear, right? F everything and run. Face everything and recover. False evidence appearing real. Okay? I don't know about you guys, but I learned in my home. In fact, I just learned this past summer when I went home. I said, Mom, how come you never taught me how to give things away? And how come I don't ever remember going to the doctor or the dentist or taking care of ourselves? She goes, we never went to the doctor or dentist. We couldn't afford it. We never gave anything away because we never had anything. And I just went, okay. I just found out I grew up in the projects before, we moved to this country. I had no idea. But you only know what you experience, so we can't do better until we know better. And we learn from our parents. And a lot of times, all that less than thinking, barely getting by, and woe is me, complaining. Oh my gosh, I don't know about you guys. All my relatives in Ohio, they major in what I like to call the major Bs. They're either drinking beer or booze, bowling, doing bingo, playing bridge, smoking bongs, basic cigarettes, or they're making babies with different baby daddies. That one of those B's, that's what all my relatives in Ohio seem to still be doing. And I got clean and sober to live a happy, joyous, and free life. And let me tell you something today. My life is so blessed. I am so grateful. But I will tell you that this has been one of the most challenging years of my sobriety. Because in November, my father passed away. He was 84 years old. He never learned to love himself. He got his love by attaboys. Good job, way to go, by what he did. We are not human doings, we're human beings. There's a difference between our who and our do. Okay? God will give each one of us grace for our place. He won't give me it for you, and you won't give it for me. It's only for each individual. And all the answers that we have through working the steps are inside of us. If you have a good sponsor is like a really good therapist for free, basically. I mean, I'm serious. Where can you go and get a life coach for $1? Okay, this is because I took a life coach class over a weekend, and I went, I can't do that. That means I'm going to start saying, okay, that was 3 hours for your 5th step. That's $300. No, I give it away because somebody gave it to me. And they give it freely, and that's how it works. It's kind of like if God brought you this far, you don't think he's going to keep on carrying you? It's like we take for granted our breath. If you think about it, we're constantly breathing in oxygen, breathing out carbon dioxide. Okay, what happens if you just breathe in and breathe in and breathe in? Don't breathe out. Just keep on breathing in. You can't. So that's how this program works. We give it away. And the sobriety rate of recovery rate is not very high in these rooms. I see a lot of people come through these doors. And I'm telling you, if you are sober and you have a few 24 hours put together, fasten your seatbelt, man, because this sobriety is the ride of your life. And it's amazing how when I'm not drinking and trying to commit suicide and going for ambulance rides and ended up in detox centers and ended up in treatment centers, how I've been able to go to 28 countries in all 7 continents. In fact, one time, in early sobriety, one of the old timers there said, you know what, stay sober today, get drunk tomorrow. I went, really? He goes, yeah, but then do the same thing that you did today, tomorrow. I said, okay, I'm going to get drunk tomorrow. Woo! I wake up the next day, I went, oh, man. It's today. There is no tomorrow. Now, however, I have a story that I need to share with you really quickly. I was 7 years sober, and I was in Australia. Australia is tomorrow where I'm from, right? They were making drinking look really fun again. So because I had relapsed so many times, I kept a list of all the new inventions of alcohol that they had created since my last drink. So if I was going to relapse, I wanted to make sure I tasted them all before I came in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous again. And I always wanted to have a sobriety day as my favorite number, 11. So it would be 11/11, and then I wait. Crazy thinking. So here I am on this island in Australia with nothing but the restaurant and bar. Everybody's drinking. I'm hiking down this path going, God, I really need a meeting, but there's no way there's going to be a meeting out here. So there's this guy walking towards me, and he has the Alcoholics Anonymous necklace around his neck. And I said, are you a friend of Bill's? And he said, yes, I am. I said, I need a meeting tonight. He said, meet my wife and I tonight at the restaurant, and we'll have a meeting. That's how God works. If I say a prayer, God is going to answer that prayer. He may send an angel with fur on, right there, with feathers on, with scales on, and occasionally with skin on. I can't tell you how many times there's been somebody who walked in and said something to me, and I turn around and they're not there. It's like, is that odd or is that God? You know, I have no idea. But the triangle and the circle has helped me so many times when I've been out in the middle of nowhere going, I need a meeting. I'll be in Mexico and I'll see that symbol up on the side of a building. I'm like, yes, thank you. I need a meeting. This thing works. Okay? So my challenge to you as I'm running down a time is to look in the mirror and to really love that person you see. Because it doesn't matter if you're 25, 55, 85, we're never too old to manifest our dreams in these programs. And sobriety is the best ride of your life. So as I wind down here, I'm going to end class the same way don't worry, no more exercising. I'm going to repeat this thing that I have in my house in a couple different places. You know, first of all, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today's a gift. That's why we call it the present. If you have 1 foot in tomorrow and 1 foot in yesterday, you're pissing all over today. I'm sure you guys have all heard these. And the one I really like is I was regretting the past and fearing the future. And I heard my God say to me, when you're in the past with all its regret and shame, it is difficult. My name is not I was. And when you're in the future with all its anxieties and fears, it's difficult. Because my God says my name is not I will be. But when you're in this moment, this precious moment, it is not hard. Because my God says my name is I am. And that's how we stay sober. 1 second at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time. And so I'm going to end this in a way that you don't have to, I appreciate it, just humor me. This is the way I end my PE classes, and I miss my students. So I'm going to say some affirmations that I say every day. And I'd like you to repeat them because I want you feeling good, like you can conquer anything when you leave here tonight. So repeat after me. I'm awesome.
I'm awesome.
I'm beautiful.
I'm beautiful.
I'm confident.
I'm confident.
I'm determined. I'm enthusiastic.
I'm enthusiastic.
I could do anything I put my mind to.
I can do anything I put my mind to.
Something good is going to happen to me today. I love you guys. I want to say thank you. Now go out there and become the best version of yourself. Thanks for letting me share.